Welcome to another Ziva Math video. This is the third video in a series about adding integers, and in this video we'll focus on adding integers with different signs. Make sure you have paper and pencil ready, and let's get started. When adding integers with different signs, we want to subtract the absolute values of the add-ins, which are the numbers you're adding. Then we're going to use the sign of the add-in with the larger absolute value as the sign of your sum. So let's take a look. So for our first problem, we have -2 plus 10. So we're adding integers with different signs, and our steps were to first take the absolute values. So we're going to take the absolute value of -2, which is 2, and then we're going to take the absolute value of 10, which is 10. Then our next step was to subtract those. And you're going to subtract them by putting the larger value first and subtracting the smaller value from it. So we're going to do 10 minus 2, which is 8. And then we have to decide about the sign. So we're going to look at the number with the larger absolute value, which is 10. So the sign for our sum also needs to be positive. So -2 plus 10 is 8. For our next problem, we have 5 plus -9. And again, we're going to start with our absolute values because we're adding integers with different signs. So our absolute value of 5 is 5. And the absolute value of -9 is 9. And our next steps after taking the absolute value were to subtract those. So we're going to subtract 5 from 9. So we're going to put the 9 first. 9 minus 5. And 9 minus 5 is 4. So after our subtraction step, we now have to decide what our sign should be. And to do that, we're going to look back at our absolute values, and it's the -9 that has the larger absolute value of 9. So the sign for our sum needs to be negative. So 5 plus -9 is -4. For our next problem, we have 16 plus -6. Again, adding integers with different signs. And our steps for doing this were to take the absolute value of both numbers. So our absolute value of 16 is 16, and our absolute value of -6 is 6. And then we're going to subtract our absolute values. So we're going to put 16 first. 16 minus 6, and 16 minus 6 is 10. After subtracting, then we have to go back to our original problem and look at the number with the larger absolute value. 16 has the larger absolute value. 16 is positive. So our sum, 10, has to be positive. So 16 plus -6 equals positive 10. So we can also add integers with different signs that have more than one digit. Our steps are going to be just the same. So -36 plus 24. We're going to start with our absolute values. So the absolute value of -36 is 36. The absolute value of 24 is 24. Our next step is still going to be to subtract, but since I have more than one digit, we're going to want to rewrite this problem vertically when we subtract, so that way our ones and our tens are lined up. So 36 minus 24. And for my first subtraction step, I have 6 minus 4, which is 2. Then I have 3 minus 2, which is 1. So I get 12. And I'm still going back to look at the number with the larger absolute value, which is the -36 for the sign for my sum. So my sum is going to have to be negative. So -36 plus 24 is -12. Thank you for joining us. Be sure you like this video and subscribe for more videos by Ziva Math.